In the Fuzzy Memories podcast, we celebrate the good, the rad, and the fugly of the 80s and 90s.
We're three latchkey kids who made it out alive.
And in each episode, we break down all the culture that popped, 1 year at a time.
Whether it's the birth of legends...
I'm Lyme disease free today, and I have Whitney Houston and MTV to thank. Or audacious moves.
Imagine also the poor Golden Gate Bridge. You turn 75 and people have a party on you.
Yep. I don't want that.
Or even confusing PSAs.
And the stop, drop, and roll. I mean, I assumed as an adult I would catch on fire weekly.
All the time!
We've got a take that will make you laugh.
We've also got thoughts on all sorts of random phenomena and the most unmitigated of golf.
Why sharks can't be trusted, people can't be trusted, and rivers can't be trusted. It's collusion.
It's of the highest degree.
Uh-huh.
You were counseling me to start my remarks with, first of all, bitch.
Everyone in that room would have snapped to attention.
It's going to be basically coffee lids, shark revenge, and then maybe like Matt Getz. God, we need to do something about him.
Join us every other Wednesday to celebrate the hits, the misses, and the misfits of the weirdest decades.
If I could tell my 14-year-old self from 1990 that I would be eating in a Cheesecake Factory in
Beverly Hills,
I'd be like, we did it. We did it, Joe.
We did it.
Listen and subscribe to Fuzzy Memories on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and your favorite podcast platform.
Hello and welcome to Broads and Books. I'm Amy.
And I'm Erin, and this is a very special episode of our podcast. Just like last week, we're cutting edge.
Cutting edge.
And we're using Zoom to record some bonus content for you.
Yeah, I mean, Zoom needs to listen to us and then sponsor us because we're using the hell out of it. Right?
You're right.
Yeah.
Genius.
I mean, there are like millions of other people using Zoom too.
Who cares? We're using Zoom.
Exactly.
We're basically social influencers at this point, right?
We totally are.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If you haven't listened to last week's episode, we did the first part of our special quarantine binge pairings. Erin and I paired some of our favorite pop culture picks with some great books to help you fill your home time. This week, it's the second part of that list. And you don't have to listen in order, but we can't figure out why you would skip it. It makes no sense.
No, I was thinking about it and I was like, I don't know why. If you haven't listened to part one, that you wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
Go listen to part one. Come back.
Exactly.
Get double.
Right. You got time. Do it now.
Yeah. Honestly, it's the responsible thing to do at this point. Like, be a responsible adult and listen to things in order, okay? Everything's out of order. Let's try and keep some order.
Order where you can. Yes.
So, since last week, Amy, what else has changed in your life? What new activities do you find yourself engaged in? What new feelings are at the surface?
No new activities, but still feeling that thing where I want to do activities, which is still so weird. I don't like activities, but activities are calling to me right now, and I want to do all of them. One thing I'm noticing, though, is that my hands and my knuckles are getting very chapped, and that the skin is, like, I'm almost rubbing the skin off every time I wash my hands. So that's great. Okay. So I need to, put, like, lotion on my knuckles so that they don't bleed. So that's where I'm at.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I feel like at first I was trying to be very understanding with my kids. Like, this is a weird time for them too. And I was trying to be very patient. And I feel like within the last week that all went out the window. Like, it's just no patience left. Like, I'm snapping. You're asking for milk. And I'm like, why? Why do you need milk? Why is that a thing right now? It's not. Have some water that you can get yourself.
Yeah. So you're just trying to pick fights wherever you can.
Kind of. I feel a little ragey, I think. Yeah. Yeah. A little ragey.
I think that's natural. I think this is increasingly the new normal, and that new normal is like rage right under the surface of all of it, as well as anxiety.
Yesterday, a gal that was probably high school rang our doorbell, and her dog had pooped in our yard, and she wanted a bag because she was like, I forgot one, I'll pick it up, which is very nice. But all I could think was, God damn it, now I have to clean my doorbell.
Yeah, why are you at my door breathing in my face?
Now I gotta Lysol the outside of it again. I just got done.
Why are you being nice in this situation? You can just run away and we will be okay with it.
My curtains are closed.
Yeah.
I would have never known that your dog pooped. I mean, I appreciate it. I shouldn't. That was so kind, but just 6 feet. 6 feet. Okay?
6 feet away.
I don't have.
One other thing I've noticed about myself right now is that I'm more willing to try movies or shows that maybe I wouldn't normally. And we were talking a little bit before this, but say Tiger King. That would not have appealed to me before, but somehow I watched all 7 episodes within 24 hours. And
It's the only way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I understand now why the world is so captivated. And I also feel like this show came along at exactly the moment that everyone needed it.
So much so. Yeah. And if you are on Twitter at all, there's some of the tweets about it have been things that have been getting me through. They make me laugh so hard because people are just so flabbergasted by him.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to be. It is insane.
Well, and you mentioned you had recommended the podcast earlier as one Pop Culture Picks in a past episode. And even then, just listening to the audio, you said it was just crazy pants beyond belief. So now that there's video of this story of Joe Exotic,
it was next level crazy pants. I looked him up after the podcast because I needed to see what a guy like that looked like, but nowhere in my imagination did I ever come up with those outfits.
Oh, no.
Nowhere did I ever come up with one of his husbands just doing all of his interviews shirtless.
Nope. Didn't see that coming.
Didn't see that coming.
Little teeth were missing while he was being interviewed. Yeah.
Nor did I think that I would see a part where he ran for president and gave out condoms as propaganda.
And at some point, I don't know about you, and we may talk about this in more detail in a future episode, but at some point, the craziness just kept coming so that by the last episode, it was just like, well, my craziness quotient is already so high that nothing can really top this. And also, where do I go from here? What do I watch after this?
Right? Yeah, we discussed that. It's such a weird show hole.
Yes.
Because your mind is kind of blown. Your ability to understand surprise and shock is blown. You've just laughed at things that you feel like a horrible person for laughing at.
Yeah.
How do you come back from that? There's nowhere to go.
There's nowhere to go.
You just need to go to bed and reset and start again the next day because it's over. It's over. It's over.
It's totally over. And one thing we had talked about before recording today too, that both of us are having a little difficulty reading right now.
Yes.
Kind of tough.
It is. In a time where we could have this time to catch up on all these things that we've, been reading and all that. And yeah, I was telling you, I'm just having trouble. I don't know if it's a focus thing. I don't know if my mind, subconsciously is just too many other places, but I've just had a lot of trouble spending any significant amount of time focused in on reading. Which is unusual, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I mentioned that because I imagine some of our listeners may be feeling that way. Maybe it's really hard to dig into a book right now because of the weirdness of the world. So if that's the case, you're not alone. Even us.
We're not alone.
Yeah, we're struggling. Yeah.
And we're crazy readers.
We're crazy readers. And right now it feels real weird that I can't find as much comfort from a book as I usually do.
Yeah, that's really what it is. That was a great way to put it. It's the comfort factor is missing. Yeah. And that's sad. So instead we watched Tiger King with a guy in sequins outfits and weird khaki pants.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's also a cult leader in there. So, it really ticks off all of our boxes.
Also, can we mention that was it within the first or second, it was either within the first full episode or the second full episode that two employees had lost limbs?
Yes, that's accurate. And they were both still singing the party line. They were
just like,
all fine. Yep, a tiger ate my arm. What are you going to do? It's like if I get a paper cut at work, that was the level of fear and stress that they were experiencing. They're like, oh, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, and the lady who got her arm bitten off was like, look, I mean, I knew that the longer I was in the hospital, the bigger this deal would be and it would be bad for business. So I just said, amputate it and I'll go back to work. What? That is not your only option.
That is not what should be happening right now.
That's not the only PR move here. Amputate your arm and get back to work so that business is fine. There's a lot in between A and Z.
A lot in between. I forgot about that she was just so like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. Just cut it off.
I didn't want the tigers to suffer.
Oh my goodness. Honey, they were suffering already.
Too late for that. Yeah, I will never. I mean, I wasn't a big zoo fan to begin with. I've never, but now.
Yeah, no way. No way.
The whole time I'm going to be like, where's the guy with the mullet and the weird outfit?
Yep. Where's the harem of women? Where are they? Let them out of their cages.
Who knew that was a thing in zoos? I mean, if you told me what does a zoo connoisseur get a lot of women, I'd be like, no.
Yeah, no. In no way, in no world. Yeah. I don't know.
But that would be inaccurate, as we learned.
Exactly. So yeah, if you haven't seen that show, dig in, because it gives you 7 hours of glorious, it gives you perspective, because hey, we're going through a pandemic right now, but at least we're not.
At least we're not the Tiger King or one of his employees or a tiger.
At least we have all of our limbs and we're not being held in cages like the harem of women.
Mm-hmm. Also, for Iowa listeners, there's a fun scavenger hunt in there. He drinks out of an Iowa Hawkeye mug at one point.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So look for that and just be like, wow, we've got that connection, as well as another one in there. But yeah.
And also, as far as branding, I'm sure Iowa's really appreciating that tie between itself and these characters.
Iowa Hawkeyes go. Yep. The Tiger King loves it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, as we mentioned last week, all of our book selections that we're going to be talking about, you can find them either through libraries that are allowing you to borrow digitally. I know in Des Moines, they've been putting out newsletters of reallocating funds to build up their digital collection, which is fantastic. And I'm sure so many other libraries are doing the same. Or think about independent bookstores, ordering from them, because they are desperately in need of your support right now, just like a lot of small businesses during this time.
Yes. Yeah, if you can do that, and that's something that you have money you can allocate for, there's so many great ways to do that online, and they would appreciate it more than you know. And the authors that have books being released during this time without a real ability to promote them would appreciate that as well. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, first off, if you remember how this works, listeners, because you have listened to the first one, as we have encouraged you to do, what we're going to do is mention our pop culture pick that we've already recommended in a previous episode, and a book that we've previously recommended that ties into that pick. So you got a nice little package to dig into.
Deal.
Yes.
Packagey package.
So my first one is Glow on Netflix. Show about female wrestlers in the 80s. Tie that with Hunger Makes Me a Modern Girl by Carrie Brownstein. Because these are girls making their way in a male-dominated world, doing their thing, and doing it so much better than all the men involved.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. Well, I'm going to start this little pairing with Below Deck, which is a reality show on Bravo. Lots of seasons you can binge. Yeah. Right now, the current season is a below deck sailing situation, which is also fascinating. So lots to do there. But but the book I'm going to pair it with is Olive Kitteridge by Elizabeth Strout.
Ooh, how are you going to put these two together, Erin?
Yeah, well, because Olive is like a series of short stories that all take place in one small town. And that's kind of like how Below Deck is. It's like a series of stories all in one little place. So you get these little nuggets. And in Olive, you get all kinds of different feelings. I mean, you range from things are hilarious to sad to touching. And Below Deck, the main feeling you're going to get is that you're picking sides in a battle you don't really care about, but you're invested for some reason. So I think that in a way, they both make you dislike people.
Yeah.
In an odd way, but they also remind you of what's great about people.
Wow.
So
I am impressed with that pairing. I would have never called that. And I think that's a great one. Nicely done.
Thank you. That was fun. I like both of those. And I'm telling you, Below Deck is hours of entertainment.
That was one of your very first recommendations, wasn't it? Below Deck.
It was, yeah.
Well, for my second pairing, I'm cheating just slightly, because I am recommending pop culture-wise a show I haven't technically recommended called The Watchmen. called Watchmen on HBO.
Well, you kind of did, didn't you, though?
I did because I'm pairing it with the actual book, The Watchmen. And I keep saying and there's no the. I don't know why I keep doing that. But that's what
it's very hard with that title for some reason.
Yes. So the show on HBO, the book by Alan Moore. And what I love is that the show builds on the book. So you get so much more out of the show, which is incredible in its own right. But having read the book, you then understand so many little Easter eggs throughout, so many little nuggets of like, oh, that's what's happening there, and that's what's happening there. So I found it so much more rewarding experience having read that book and then watching the show. So I recommend, you got time now, do it.
Get on it. You got time. I agree. Wow, that's I like that pairing together.
Yeah.
Read and watch.
And by the way, if you get into the show, then there is a podcast that is like a behind the scenes of the show that is talking to Damon Lindelof, who's the creator of the show, and how he did some of the casting, how he did some of the tying to the book. I really enjoyed that as well.
Wow, very cool. So that was like a 3-for-1. That was a triple threat.
Yes.
And we love ourselves a good podcast.
We sure do.
Obvious reasons.
Obvious reasons.
Okay, so this is, my next one is one that Amy and I have both listened to. She's actually one that recommended it to me, and then we talked about it on the show, the Clearing podcast.
Ah, yes.
Which is great. So good. And then I paired that with The Fact of a Body by Alex Marzano-Lesnevich.
That's a great pairing.
Yeah, and I said both because they're both really haunting and deep. They both took my breath away, but they're also both really at the heart of it searching for truth and how to like reconcile parts of their past that they're not comfortable with or that had a really large impact on who they are now, and how to like make that okay, keep good memories, but still understand that there's things that aren't right.
And have this insane true crime elements.
Yes, yeah. And it just is so interesting that they were both so vulnerable about working through their trauma in such a public forum. And I think I'm always drawn to that. I think that kind of writing and that kind of, in the podcast form, that daughter being able to put herself out there like that was just incredible. I mean, just both those books, when I think about them, they give me goosebumps.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. The way that they weave like true crime that's directly related to them with their own personal stories, that's really good one.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
My third one starts with the Ryan Murphy show Pose, about the ball culture in 1980s New York. And I'm pairing that with Paul Takes the Form of a Mortal Girl by Andrea Lawler.
Yes.
Pairing that because in both of those situations, in the show and in the book, gender is sort of, it's like a construct. It's something that is almost make-believe in a way. Mm-hmm. And you can play with gender roles. You can be a man and dress as a woman. You can be a woman and dress as a man. So many other, ways of looking at it. The idea that people aren't just one thing or the other, that there's so much to us. And yeah, when you allow that to come out, whew,
amazing. That's a great pairing together. You can see how those two go together so well.
Yes.
All right. Well, my third one is pop culture. I'm going to start with the Fire and Fire Fraud documentaries.
Yeah.
Which were on Netflix and Hulu. Both of them, if you remember, I recommended both of them together for different reasons. And I'm going to pair that with Anatomy of a Scandal by Sarah Vaughan. Because, the Anatomy of a Scandal was like you were getting kind of a new perspective on a scandal every chapter. You were, different character. And I sort of had that same feeling in the Fire Fraud things. You were learning about so much more and so much what happened like in such a deeper level in that organization. And you were getting new characters and you're like, what? And it was throwing off what you thought about everything. And I had that kind of feeling in both the book and the documentaries. And I mean, Anatomy of a Scandal, that could have been the Fire Fraud title, to be honest.
No kidding. Yeah.
And shout out to Swindled Podcast, because for a long time they were selling Fire Festival t-shirts. And I thought that was hilarious.
That is. God, the more I hear about Swindled, the podcast that you love, the more I just feel like we all get each other, but the person that runs that Like he has our sense of humor in some ways.
He's a genius, I think. Yeah. Mhm. Oh yeah, he's got a great sense of humor. If you like follow his tweets, he's pretty on par. But anyway.
So for my fourth one, I also almost did another sort of trio. I started pop culture wise with Shrill with A.D. Bryant.
Oh yes.
2 seasons now on Hulu. A pretty quick binge, but such a rewarding one. And pairing that with 2 books, The Fuck It Diet and Anti-Diet, Carolyn Dooner and Christy Harrison. And I think those 3 work together because whether it's through the fictional element of Shrill or whether it's through the non-fictional element of the books, you learn why like all bodies are valid bodies, that everyone is, the size that they're supposed to be, that you don't need to mess with it. You don't need to hold out for this future where you're going to be skinnier or prettier or whatever, all of these kinds of things. And so, yeah, you can learn why your body knows what the hell it's doing. Just let it do what it does.
Yes. Genius. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. And another 3 for 1. Come on.
Yes.
Terrific.
And we are even defying our own rules by giving more than pairs.
Because that's what we do.
That's what we do. We give and give and give.
You can't keep us down. Yeah. Can't keep us down.
COVID-19 can't keep us down.
We see you, COVID-19, and we raise you. Special content on Zoom. Okay? So, good try. But we're still trugging along.
Still doing it. Yep.
Yeah. Still doing it. And then by no means am I trying to tempt fate. I don't want COVID-19.
I was gonna say, saying that, it was like, oh shit, we are, if I believed in like fate and stuff, we're really after it.
That was a real karma bitch move.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. My number 4 is, I'm going to tell you to start with the Teen Foxcatcher documentary, which is on Netflix. There was a wow, I cannot say that word today.
Yeah, it sounds like you're cussing a lot right now. Yeah. That fuck catcher.
Fox Catcher movie with Steve Carell, but this is the documentary that was on Netflix that I think went a little bit further than the movie. A lot of facts. So if you don't remember, that's about the John DuPont, the guy that sponsored an Olympic wrestling team and then was famously shot. And I'm going to pair that with God'll Cut You Down by John Safran, because the hypocrisy in both of those is just rampant and wild. And both have characters that you're like, how are these real people? And they are. So if you don't remember, the God'll Cut You Down recommendation is about, he follows up on a murder in a community overrun with white supremacists. And he kind of does a great job of showing them how illogical and how false they are. So
very good picks. So for my final one,
yes,
I had to do it, and I went David Bowie route.
You should.
Yeah, picking particularly Ziggy Stardust, which I recommended in the past, because it has sort of an element of sort of space exploration, like a different world. It's very sci-fi, and I'm pairing that with Friday Black, the collection of stories by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah. And I think the 2 of them together, you see the world in completely new ways, using costumes, using satire, using humor, using everything to really make you think about the weirdness of our world and entertain you in the process.
Yes. Well, my final pick is, I'm going to start with the documentary. This is a pretty recent one called Don't Fuck with Cats. So if you haven't had a chance to dive into this, it might be a good follow-up to Tiger King, because it's real crazy.
For sure.
Yeah. And I'm going to pair that with We Are Never Meeting in Real Life by Samantha Irby, because one's hilarious and one is horrifying, but they both have cats.
Sure do.
And you gotta love that. Samantha Irby in her book rescues what can only be described as like a lovably evil feline, like kind of terrible, but kind of awesome at the same time. And a lot of her essays focus on love and dating in the modern world, which a lot of time includes online dating and apps. And the documentary talks a lot about these people finding each other in online chat rooms and forming together to kind of take this guy down. So especially at this time where that's kind of how we're faced with connecting is through online means. It's interesting how different those outcomes can be.
Yeah. And I suddenly had like a a moment of like, if Podcat were still around, what would she think of Tiger King? Like, if she watched Tiger King and she's like, those are my cousins, and I want to be more like them, and also I want to take Joe Exotic down.
Down.
Yeah. And somehow I would want to encourage her to do that, to just, unleash her full violence in this weird zoo world.
Yeah. I think that would, I would fear for you if she watched that.
Yeah.
I would.
Then, she'd start seeing me as like the, person that's keeping her down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
boy,
Even though she has full run of this place, or she did, I think, she would be like, oh no. Oh no. First of all, she's going to question why you don't wear sequins outfits all the time. So that's going to be a problem.
So like, hey, human, step up your game. Like, why aren't you
wearing a tiger shirt with weird blue sequins?
And why don't you have a gun on you at all times?
At all times? Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
The amount of times that they blew stuff up in that too is surprising.
So many times. I didn't mean for this episode to really turn into all about Tiger King. That's where I'm at, because I just finished it and I can't help it. It's all messed up.
Well, to be fair, I'm glad we're talking about it, because actually it was going to be my pop culture pick for the episode we haven't recorded yet that we had prepped, and then we said, no, we need to social distance, which I'll just pick something else, because this discussion was important to have right now, because everyone is watching it.
Yes, it's very important, very timely. We needed to contribute our own thoughts to this national discussion that's happening.
I will encourage you, if you've watched it, to look up Chrissy Teigen's Twitter, because she released a picture of her daughter dressed as Joe Exotic next to a tiger. And I've never laughed so hard in my life. Yeah. She's way more of a comedic genius than people realize.
There's also one of the current SNL cast members, Chloe Fineman. I follow her on Instagram, and she put out her own impression of Carol Baskin like a few days ago. So if you haven't found it on her account, it's on the NBC SNL account. It's pretty good. She's a very good impressionist, and this one was.
I do hope that's a little bit of the sadness. I mean, besides just SNL, right now, that's so sad that they're not, but mainly because of all the stuff. I mean, can you imagine some Tiger King sketches?
Yes, and I want to see those. I also want to see just their take on like all the mass hysteria that COVID-19 has wrought, including the run on toilet paper, where our asses are in danger apparently. And I wish I could see their take on this.
Well, and President Trump has had some killer quotes this week that I would love to see. I mean, he literally called a reporter a cutie pie. Don't be a cutie pie. And the reporter said nothing. A grown man said nothing when he said, don't be a cutie pie. And I would love to see that in an SNL sketch.
Oh,
And or when he said, that woman from Michigan. You mean the governor? The governor?
Oh, my.
Is that who you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah, that's probably who he was talking about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He said that he and Mike Pence don't need to talk to her. If she's not going to be grateful and helpful, then they just won't talk to her. Yeah. It was like a real lunchroom table moment. Like, no, you can't do that. Do you understand why you can't do that? Yeah. Yeah. It was like, and it had a real, like, she didn't vote for me vibe. So I don't have to help her. Yeah.
That was another thing about Tiger King. There was a real sort of gendered, like every time they would talk about, it just felt very much that they hated her in part because she was a woman and because she was entering into their manly man world. And
I will say that I thought the podcast did a better job of exploring her side of what she actually does with the tigers. It doesn't make you like her any better, because unfortunately, I don't feel that Joe Exotic was that far off, that they basically have the same business. Yeah. Because and when they delved into that more, like, how is it different? That it turns out that there wasn't a lot of differences. So.
That was a question, that as I was watching, it's like, what are we differentiating here in terms of business? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think the moral of the story of this episode, besides our packages, is also go watch Tiger King.
Yes, 100%.
Tell us what you think on social media, because we want to hear all the thoughts on the weirdness.
We do. We want to hear everything that you think about Tiger King, because we can't stop thinking about it and talking about it. Maybe that's a future PR move. You and I dressed up as Tiger King characters.
Oh, my mind is racing now. Okay, so in terms of like jewelry, in terms of like pants, I
Mhm.
need some like leather pants or chaps or something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
lots of animal prints.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm gonna need you to get a boob job. I'm just gonna say it.
Hey, at least I'll get some time off if I.
Right?
So yeah.
Yeah.
it'll be fun.
Yeah, that was hey, for listeners, if you haven't watched, in context, that was funny. Okay, well, that wasn't me.
What we should have said at the beginning was go watch Tiger King and then listen to this episode.
Then come back.
Because
Yeah,
our jokes will land a lot better.
a lot better. Yeah, I just realized after it came out of my mouth how terrible that sounded to someone who hasn't seen it. Oh God,
It's like Erin's getting real sassy and she's telling me to get a boob job with no.
getting real brutal
Yep.
in this episode. Mhm.
Like, listen.
Listen,
You can really look a lot better if you do this.
how do you feel about D's?
I feel like my back would hurt a lot. I don't want
Yeah,
that.
no, I would never let you do that.
Okay,
I would.
thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are things that is a ride or die moment where I'd come over and be like, okay, we just need to chat for a minute. I need to know that you really want to do this. I need you to give me like 20 reasons why that are valid. I need valid reasons.
Also, I'm trying to figure out a situation in which I would say, Erin, I'm thinking about a boob job and like be completely serious. But I like this, this hypothetical. I like
I would just
world that I am
Mhm.
really intent
Mhm.
on getting some big old D's.
And you would have to convince me, apparently.
Mm.
That's what I've just laid down, is that you can't make your own health decisions. So that's what this is doing to me.
You are a Republican handling women's health care right now. Excellent.
Sure did. Yeah.
Excellent.
That took a turn. Yeah. Whew. Tiger King rubbed off on me more than I thought. Yikes.
Oh, you become a misogynist. That's
Oh,
not
shit.
cool.
Dang it. Well, either way.
Yeah.
For the record, I also just put my notes away, so that was helpful.
I was waiting for you to transition. Like, well, let's just keep on talking, I guess, about my
Yeah,
boobs.
I guess. Well, as you noticed, that was all 10 of ours. So
Yeah.
now you have 20 2-for-1 Recs. And because of Amy, you even have more than that.
Yeah,
'Cause
you
she threw in some 3-for-1s.
Mhm.
So we're thinking up other great content to bring you during this time. And we plan to be back next Wednesday with something else to help you take your mind off everything.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to help ourselves and help you at the same time.
Yes.
But you can find all of our regular weekly episodes and all of our other bonus material in your podcast player, your podcast catcher, or on our website, broadsandbooks.com. And like we said, we'd love to hear from our listeners during this time. So if you have a question, you have an idea, you have a theory about Tiger King, you have your own costume that you want to run by us, or you just want to say hello, we welcome any of that.
Yes.
You can reach out to us on our social media or find our email on our website.
Happy reading.
I'm up again. Same night, another dream. Before trying this recording thing, I didn't remember much of anything of these dreams. I didn't remember much from any of the women. And one night of doing this, and it's broken things open. The dreams they're in me, and they're coming out of me, and
Talk to me. I am not broken. I am the most whole, most real.
cause their despair. I wait for the word. Witch.
Look at the mad woman in her cage. She was a woman with holes inside her. That was the heaviest factor, the final evidence, the heart of the issue.
Somehow, you understand this. You hear me. Wherever you are, whatever this is, you... This isn't a dream journal anymore. It's not. It's just fact. Because now this is some sort of record. What are these dreams? Maybe there's a better question. Who are these women? Weird Woman is a Broads and Books production. All 9 episodes are available January 10th. Listen and subscribe to Weird Woman on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and your favorite podcast platform. That's WYRD Woman, wherever you listen to podcasts.